I wish it still had comedy like it used to. I wish it still had jam bands like it used to. People don't want to seem to accept that the world has moved on. I think it's a chance for them to get a handle on everything and figure out what people actually want.
Oh, I think we're still open-minded at Bonnaroo, and I think people, even if they don't get what they want, will quickly shift.
Have you given any thought to who needs to be on the lineup next year for Bonnaroo? Welcome back to the What Podcast. This is Barry. That's Bryan. You'll notice that we are sans Russ. We are without Taco.
Another camping trip.
Yeah, where is he? Like Kentucky or some crazy,
unbelievable
event?
Some kind of cool backdrop of something or other. I don't know, but he's living his best summer life of camping this summer. So.
He's kind of sneaky that way, isn't he?
Yeah.
You don't think about it, but then he's doing something amazing all the time.
Like, I'm going to be gone this weekend, and then there's like the most majestic thing you've ever seen.
Exactly. Well, good for him. So we have lots to talk about, but nothing earth-shattering that I know of. Do you? I mean, I don't have anything.
The dog days of summer are here, Barry, in the South anyway.
Exactly.
Dog days.
God almighty, isn't that the truth?
We're going another heat wave down here. It'd be perfect Bonnaroo weather. 95 degrees.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we were doing it this week? 108. 108 degrees.
I can't imagine because we've done it.
Yeah, I know.
I'll take it over a rain-soaked, canceled event every day.
Thank you.
Every day.
Thank you very much. Everybody asks which one, and I'm like, not water. I'll take the heat over water anytime.
Oh, I've gotten so acclimated to the summers in the South. It doesn't bother me that much. I don't like it, but it doesn't bother me that much. I'll take it over even just a little bit of rain. I mean, a little rain, I guess, but overall, give me the heat. But burn me up, make it a dust bowl before you make it a slop fest every time.
So we did get, we got another census, another survey. What are your initial thoughts? This one is a little more detailed.
It's a little bit, I enjoyed the way it was worded slightly better. I made a few notes. We'll go through it here in a minute. One thing I'll ask you, because I can't remember, Bonnaroo has always done a good job of these polling and this data collection, but boy, they're doing it a lot this year, and even before we had all the issues and the problems from the festival itself. I don't know if they've picked it up more this year, but it can't hurt. It doesn't hurt to get information until I think occasionally maybe it can if you get a little too much information, but overall I think it's a good thing.
No, I think it's great. Brad said when he was on the panel with us that they actually listen, and we've seen that, right? I mean, you and I agree. We're both cynical people. We tend to see these and think, oh, that's a nice stroke, and thank you for asking, and then you've already made up your mind, and we're never going to see the actual results.
Or it's a nice way to gather additional email addresses. That's kind of the thing I've always made the stupid joke about. But
right.
It is certainly, that is just a joke. It is information that they value and that they use. By all accounts, I believe that. I do believe that. And to get me to believe that is difficult. So.
Yeah, and the thing that sort of jumped out at me is, it's very EDM heavy. There's very little rock, which hurts you and me both. But there is no rock. I mean, even in the question, I'm like, what's my answer? I would like to say rock, but I mean, who's out there,
Well, when we get into it here in just a few minutes more specifically, I'll give you a few of my answers on that. But yeah, this is a recurring kind of content topic that I've wanted to do on different podcasts over the last couple of years. Rock and roll is dead.
Yeah.
It is dead as a popular music genre. It does not sell tickets. It's not dead for you and me. It's not dead for a large swath of the music listening population, but as a relevant to societal importance overall, it's just not moving the needle, and Bonnaroo knows that, and they need to program accordingly. The good news with the way Bonnaroo does things, they keep things so diverse. I think the consensus, I hope, will continue to let them believe they need to do that, because even on a festival lineup like this year, which I loved, it had plenty of rock on it. It
Mm-hmm.
was just mid tier, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're getting more and more people who are understanding that or loving the idea of a good mid card, a mid and upper mid tier, and a lot of people, like many of us have talked about on here over the years, we don't care who the headliners are. Give me a Post Malone that I don't generally, he's closer to rock, but that I don't really like, and I'll go check it out, and that'll be where a lot of my discovery comes from. Sometimes Olivia Rodrigo or Rodrigo, whatever her name is, I would have been there right in front of the stage or as close as I could get out in
Right.
that what
Right.
field. I don't listen to her. I don't know the first song by her. So a lot of my music discovery comes from that top line sometimes. So
Well, let me ask you that because I got that feeling somewhat through the question, and I think that's one of the things they're asking is, do they want it? Do people want it more fine, narrowed, or do we like it this way? That's one of the things I felt from that questionnaire. Is do the majority of people want it more narrowed, smaller lanes, or do we like it broad?
I have a feeling that maybe it's just 50 plus one, but maybe there's a majority that want it more curated to what they exactly like.
That's the word, curated. There you go.
When I was young, 20s, late 20s, I didn't want a bunch of stuff I didn't know. I
Right.
wanted jam and rock, and that's where the festival's roots were, and that's what I wanted. So if you asked me then, 08, 05, 11, said, would you like it to be more diverse or more of what you want? I think I would have said, I want more of what I want. And I have a feeling a lot of the EDM, um, pop music uh, uh, lovers probably want more of that. I think with EDM, that's very true. I mean, right now they live in their own world, and there ain't another thing going on except for EDM. And I'm not meaning to be a jerk about it. I get it because I was a jam band guy like this. If you said you want less jam bands or more, I'd say, can you book every one of them? Then I would
Yeah.
have been happier. I have a feeling that might be the case with the youth of today because that's how the youth of my past was.
No, I agree. And so, how do you? All right, you and me are we're in the room. It's you and me. We're booking this. How are we gonna? What are we gonna do? Um, do we piss off the Brian and the Barrys and the RV guys that
Yeah.
want legacy acts?
The big money guys that want to hear the Police and the music of their youth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Having said what you just said too,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people that go are like us. I want to go see Olivia. I want to see, something that's not in my normal wheelhouse because that's where I'm going to go do it is at Bonnaroo. That's to me, that's always been the appeal. So
Yeah, no.
where do you dance? How do you dance that line?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. And because of the unique nature of the festival, I mean, they can kind of do it all. And they do it all. If I mean, it's odd because you find, and I've gone in different eras of my life of what mattered to me more. I mean, someone sees a top line and they don't see a headliner they like, they immediately say, many will just be like, that festival sucks.
Yeah,
Like many people who, especially who aren't going, will just are interested in the Festiverse and they'll see those headlines. Oh boy, that festival's awful.
right.
Or how many times has Hosier got a headline?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I tend to not think of it that way anymore. But it wasn't that long ago that I did. And so that's how do you balance that? That's another version of the question you just asked.
I think that's going to be a little bit the theme of the show and maybe ongoing is you're in your mid 40s. I'm early 60s. And that's we're going to go a lot of ways later, but along these lines, you're 100% right. If I was 20 years old, I mean, it's my way or no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're
I
you're
don't
an
want
old.
old people music. I don't want
Yeah.
anything that I don't like or anything that I don't understand. I don't want that's lame. I'm cool. I like what I like, and what I like is the coolest thing going. So why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
That's an immature, youthful way to look at it,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to use immature pejoratively, but
No, but that's one of the things that I've loved about this festival is it's sort of mind expanding I mean, we all agree that's what we love, right? You're going to go see somebody you've never heard of and probably didn't like, and we're open minded to it. But it kind of feels, I don't know. I don't know if this EDM thing feels like it's got to be what you just said, my way or no way. Are you feeling that, or are we still open minded at Bonnaroo?
Oh, I think we're still open-minded at Bonnaroo, and I think
Okay.
people, even if they don't get what they want, will quickly shift because they do understand what's going on. And I do think there's, even though right now it's really trendy to hate on Live Nation, and I'm not ever going to get anybody on to anybody who wants to do that, even though we've discussed on here that without Live Nation there is no Bonnaroo. So you kind of got to balance that out. But I
Yeah.
think people get it. I think people get it quickly. I think most people who are ever considering going to go back get it immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Like almost immediately. Immediately you think I'm never doing this again, or whoa, this is different.
This is
And
awesome.
now all of a sudden, even the most stubborn person could quickly have their mind change and be like, hold on, this is what we get to do. This is the environment I get to live in for 3 to 4 days. I can be okay with things I wasn't sure I was going to be okay with
Yeah.
before. And that's a unique thing to this festival, like so many things we talk about on here. I don't think you're going to get that at Lollapalooza and these city festivals as much. I think people go there with the idea I'm doing this, 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 and this. And they do basically this, 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 and this. And they don't learn a lot. There's not a lot of discovery. And for me, early in the years, for maybe a decade, 12, 13 years of the festival, I wasn't all that interested in music discovery because I thought I was smarter than everybody else and already knew all the good music.
Right.
I look back at '08, especially the late aughts, because I was starting to push 30 years old, and so I was changing in a lot of ways. And I look back at those lineups, and I'm like, I didn't go see any of this stuff,
You're
and it
right.
wasn't
Right.
stuff that I'd never heard of at that time. It was just stuff
Right.
that I wasn't familiar with, and I didn't care about as much. And I think people are understanding that quicker. I don't think it's taken them 10 years. Like it took me 10 years to figure it
Yeah,
out.
and part of that is because of the nature of it. You're not in such a hurry, if that's the right word. You don't have to hurry to go see your favorite band. You're there. You have all day long, and so you can kind of take your time and take it all in, and hopefully you're with people who have the same mindset. So,
Yeah, and especially after you understand you can't see everything. That's a thing that people
right.
need to learn quickly, and I think people do. And one of the questions, which we will, I guess we're starting to get into it now, but was, do you want more time between sets?
That was an interesting one. I didn't see
Yeah.
that question coming, and that's the one that I stopped and thought the longest about. What are your thoughts?
I don't remember what I put on that one because I didn't write a note on that one. I think it's fine. I'm sure I just put the way that it is because if you make it more time between sets and you change the conversation you guys had long before I was on regularly years ago, where the kind of the opening up the doors of how the festival's put together, the lanes and the way that's crowd control and all those things. If you rearrange how you schedule things and then now, oh well, there's more downtime to make sure people can get around. Well, now you've thrown that whole formula out the window because you can't control crowd as much that way, or the crowd is just going to be what you were trying to get away from, where it bottlenecks and becomes a problem. You want people to have conflicts. You want people to be at Noah Khan over here and the person over here at we'll just say the Lumineers on the what stage, while Noah Khan would be on maybe the a tent stage. I'm just making stuff up here. You want people as from their formula they described, you want people to be conflicted. You want people to not know which one to go to. So this
Right.
many go here and this many go here. The average guy and gal listening and wanting to see both might not care about that and might get angry by that. But I think once it's described and you understand why they do it, it's easy for people to at
Yeah.
least be okay with it.
There is a science to that. That's the thing to illustrate your point. There is a science to what they do. They don't just randomly book this one on that stage and that one on that stage. It's crowd control, logistics,
Yeah.
making it work.
I don't have a whole lot of examples of where I just got totally just mind torn on where I want to be, but this is not a great example. It was the only one that comes in my mind. Was in 2011 when Buffalo Springfield had their reunited show, and I'm a big Neil Young guy and a Steven Stills guy, so I was had to see this. This was a regardless of how many people care about that band, which isn't that many.
It was a
It was
great show.
it was great, and it was a one. This is a never before in this era and never again, and I had to see it. And then going on the what bef- with 30 minutes left of the Springfield show was the Black Keys, and I'm like, what the hell do I do? I've never seen the Black Keys. They were hot in 11, and I missed the Black Keys because I couldn't walk away from Neil Young. But that's kind of I don't know how much crossover there is between a Neil Young show or a Buffalo Springfield show and Black Keys, but that's the only one that comes to my mind.
Let's take a minute. Let's take a break, actually, and let's come back. It's a good time to take a break, and we'll come back because I got a question I want to ask you. Kind of go back to the announcement last week about some of the changes.
Sure, and then I got some of these notes on the census, and we'll do that.
Yeah, let's take a break. All right, so we've had a good week to think about the announcement that Bonnaroo is back and some of the changes. Have you had any new thoughts? I mean, I know we were pretty disappointed that Thursday appears to be gone, and that we will not be coming in on Tuesday. I don't have as much a problem, and that the numbers will be down. I think we've kind of heard unofficially maybe in that 55 to 60,000 people range. And maybe we'll get some numbers from, Brad and Corey when they come on, which doesn't, it's so hard to say this. It doesn't really mean anything to people when you're there because it's still going to feel crowded. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's 60 or 80, it's going to feel crowded.
Especially if they change the logistics around, which they have.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Thursday thing, here's my point. The more I think about it, it just means that they're going to rearrange things. There might be more happening in Centeroo, less happening in Outeroo, and I don't mean whatever you're doing in your camp. Everybody can still create their own camp event, their events, all of that stuff should still happen. I think what I mean is that Bonnaroo itself, C3, will probably be doing fewer sanctioned things out there, if that's the right word.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean you can't do what you were planning on doing and having all the cool stuff going on.
Yeah, you want to bring a little palette of some sort, a little like elevated thing, and then throw an acoustic guitar guy on there and a microphone and a small PA. You can do that.
Do your thing.
No one's telling you can't do that. But to answer the question, have my thoughts changed? Not really. I'm happy. I'm happy that this is resolved quickly. I thought there was a chance it would be November before we found anything out, or I'm just making up a month, but later in the year. I had the way they worded things, it sounded so like we're going to talk about it, but I don't know. And then it quickly shifted. So I'm happy about it, but I've just become, and I'm going to do a breakdown of Thursday for the show, the history of Thursday sometime here in the off season, and go very in depth on every Thursday and who had a, kind of a springboard out of that Thursday into big time stardom, because that's happened countless times. Alabama Shakes are the quick one that come to my head. Courtney Barnett was for me and for many others. I'm not sure if her Alabama Shakes had a much bigger trajectory, but I want to look at that. But I will not get over easily that Thursday is not a thing. I like it's all part of my midlife, growing old, borderline crisis change of things. I want to get places early and I want to leave them early. I want to get there as quick as I can, not Tuesday, but I want to get there early and I want to get out of here. The quicker I get there, the quicker I can leave. I kind of make that joke every time I go to dinner. Well, if we get there quick, then we can leave quicker.
Yeah.
It's kind of I get it. It's a Progressive insurance commercial.
I still think I think there are things coming. There are announcements coming on Thursday. It's not like we're just going to be asked to sit in our camp until whatever the big party is on the what. I think there's stuff coming.
No, but in the last 2 years specifically, and I kind of gave Brad Parker a little bit of hell about when they were like, "Well, we're not sure if we're gonna do what stage anymore." I'm like, yes, you're going to. It was a big success. This is American capitalism. At the end of the day, you don't take away, you add, unless you have circumstances that change, which in this case we do. The last 2 years, building up from Pretty Lights and then that Luke Combs show was a huge success this year. That was the best Thursday Bonnaroo's ever had. The last 2 years, anyway. I think those two combined are the best Thursdays Bonnaroo's ever had. And I feel like if the 2 months ago festival, month and a half ago festival went off well, Thursday would have been just as big and just as loaded and maybe even more because it's proving to be a day that people really like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think they are taking this opportunity to sort of rethink and remold and not in a negative way. I mean, I want to emphasize that. I think some people are thinking this is like a bad. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a chance for them to get a handle on everything and figure out what people actually want.
It's a good version of what COVID did. It's a good because COVID made people pivot in every walk of life because they had to. This is a different version of that. Pivots have to happen from legalities to insurance premiums to everything that we don't have, that we're not privy to that information right now. But those are things that are making them have to make tough decisions that they wouldn't have made otherwise. Yeah. And just with the last thought on the Thursday, it's just a weekend. I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, gone. I mean, we blink. The jokes are, the weekend's like a lunch break,
Right.
Weekend's over before I can even get it started in our regular work life. And if it's just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the person who's running late, the person who has a bad first day, boom, now you only have a day and a half barely, and you got to get out of here. Thursday I just felt like that great way to settle in, and it doesn't really matter what happens. And then we've all had a great time, especially the Tuesday and Wednesday crazies. You've really had a nice time, and now the real event is here. It's like the best warm-up band. That's kind of how it was for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, it was for the decade was move-in day. You got there, you got your stuff set up, and then you wandered in and you wandered the grounds, and then music started.
I think it still is a move-in day for a lot of people, and it still will be. And I think it'll still facilitate that well, because
I agree.
If the weather's even close to good, it's still going to be a good move-in day. And you know what? They can do that, get the same kind of reaction from most people, and save what? $800,000.
Yeah, no, that's we're saying the same thing. The Tuesday and Wednesday thing had become its own thing, I guess, is what you and I didn't go. Yeah. Russ did, obviously, and loved it. A lot of other people did and had a whole event around it. It was like a separate thing.
And the biggest question from that will be, and I can't wait to ask it with Brad Parker, whoever else, is the traffic flow. Yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons for doing that. And what is the contingency plan now for that? So we'll talk about that down the road rather than speculate on it now. But that's the biggest question for me on that.
And I think it's worth noting from what I'm hearing is this is not necessarily, and I think you even said it last week, this doesn't mean it's permanent. This is, again, it feels like a reset year. They'll figure it out, and we'll see. I mean, they may end up back to that because it made sense and it worked. So we will see. So,
well, I've got a few things here on the census I'd like to notes wise I took as I took it. It was 13 questions, which is far better than the first one, which was a measly 5. That first one, Bonnaroo, sorry, that thing was a waste. The second was a little bit better. I like this one better too, but sometimes again the questioning kind of irritates me because I'm a polling, data collection cynic, like we were just kind of talking about before. Right. But so the very top was pick 3. What do you want more of? Well, predictably, rock, Americana, indie rock. That's what I picked. Classic rock would have been one more that I would have considered, but I went with those 3. What I didn't like about just a quick 2 answer possibility question. There was I didn't word the questions out completely, but just headliners. What do you prefer? Legacy or pop? I think they put the hottest. I want the hottest out there now. I can't answer that question in one or the other. Like that's not I mean, don't even ask me that way. You want legacy or pop? I mean, hold on. Can we talk about this for a while? Like there's some nuance there.
Yeah.
I understand why they do it, but I don't like questions like that. I'm interested in
All right. Go back 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago when we started. That gets to that. That's to me, and I did the same thing you did. That's a 40-year-old answer versus a 20-year-old answer.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and
mean,
I know they can know how old I am by just, the algorithm can tell them, but it doesn't ask how old you are before you take these.
no,
these-
but that's
these
the
things.
answer.
But they know. Yeah.
Yeah, a 20-year-old doesn't want any his legacy is last year, right?
Well, that's a breakdown of societal
But you,
interaction that bothers me. When I was 20, I wanted to hear whoever I was into 60s, 70s music like crazy. So
oh, you're
I,
talking to me.
I-
We're
I
going to
didn't-
talk about that in a minute.
I
But
didn't
yeah,
want that to dominate the landscape, but I wanted.
if it was hot, I hated it.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Well, in
was me.
2003, Neil Young on Friday night on the What Stage is one of the greatest shows of my life. 2003, I'm 23 watching I guess at that point he would have been 60, I guess, So roughly, I couldn't have been more excited when Tom Petty was there in '06 when they first started doing this. It's 5 years in, and I'm 26, and oh my God, Tom Petty's here. Does seem to be a little bit of a youthful a cultural shift on that,
Right.
and Stevie Nicks. Ugh.
Well,
Hear about Stevie Nicks.
was it 2003 that James Brown was there? And I only know that because we saw it during the COVID years when they did the highlight. That might have been one of the best shows
think it was-
ever seen on video.
I think it was 4.
Was it
Yeah,
4?
I
My
think it was
God,
4.
I wish I'd seen. And I've seen him 3 times.
James Brown,
But
Dave
man, he
Byrne.
crushed that show.
Yeah, Dave Byrne was there. That was a big time. People
Yeah,
loved that.
and 20-year-olds listening to this are like, James who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 more that don't matter as much, but this one I'm curious what you think on this. It asked about the comedy. Would you be more likely to attend if they brought comedy back? You want my thoughts on it first, or do you want your?
I will go first. To me, that's a broader point. We've said on here the comedy tent to me was awesome because it had air conditioning. You couldn't get in it. The line was, I mean, you had to start yesterday to get in, but it so created the Bonnaroo ethos.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was like they got comedy.
Nobody else did it.
Nobody has comedy.
Nobody.
They have a newspaper. They have comedy. They have, I mean, that
Radio
was
station.
radio station. Exactly. To me, that was and it wasn't just, I mean, it was legit.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
I walked in there and sat in the air conditioning and watched Flight of the Conchords
great.
and thought, my life has changed.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I wasn't there for that, but yeah, that's good stuff.
It was unbelievable. And then a couple of years later, Conan O'Brien was there, and he was so big they put a screen out in the area between the.
He was the MC of the whole event, basically. That's kind of what they
Yeah.
called him. He was that was 2010, I think.
Chris Rock was there.
Wait,
on
the
way.
what?
On the what? He was
I
so
said it.
funny.
I said it at Bonnaroo. Said that like
That's it.
10 times. I said it. I said
said
it on
it.
Bonnaroo. At Bonnaroo. That's
He said everybody's worried about if Obama wins. You need to be worried about if Michelle Obama wins. You need to be worried about a black woman in the White House, not a black. It was hilarious.
I said it at Bonnaroo.
Triumph, the insult. I mean, yes.
Oh my dog, yeah.
I
So
mean,
they started doing that early too. That was like '05, I think, was maybe the first year they did that. This first year I saw comedy there, and I only saw 2 or 3 because of what you just said.
Right.
Lines wrapped around the world to get in there, which was part of what I didn't like about it, and that never seemed to get all that alleviated. But the question was, are you more likely to attend because of the comedy acts? And I put no, because I don't think they need to do.
I think I did too.
I would not prefer them bring. I think that was a fun era, right now comedy's in a weird place. And I don't want to get too far off the road here down a dirt gravel road from where we're trying to stay on here. But it is a really polarizing place. It's not a place where people can just let go completely, listen to a bunch of dumb jokes and then go home. Gets real polarized, and we got a whole new kind of like Theo Von. He's great. He's fine. The people who, have you ever been to a Theo Von show? That ain't Bonnaroo.
Right.
Sitting in those seats with the
Right,
people.
right.
Sorry, everybody, but the mass audience that he has, that 80% of them would even consider going to Bonnaroo. That's not Bonnaroo. Shane Gillis, one of the biggest guys going right now.
Right.
That ain't Bonnaroo.
Nate Bargatze. Ain't nobody going to Bonnaroo to see Nate Bargatze.
Yeah, and he's on another different. I don't mean to put him with those guys, but
he's the huge. So yeah
exactly. But those guys are a little more politically polarizing, and so I don't know. I feel like that was a awesome idea that they squeezed all the juice out of that idea, and I would not prefer
some of the questions. Tell me if you think this are because of people being like, it's not like it used to be. I wish it still had that. Is that a question? Is that I wish it still had comedy like it used to. I wish it still had jam bands like it used to. People don't want to seem to accept that the world has moved on, type of thing.
Yeah,
same with rock and roll. I mean, you and I both want a rock band. Which one? Tom Petty's dead.
I know. It's not a lot to choose from. I mean, it's true.
I mean, there's Neil Young and who?
Yeah, and Neil's barely keeping it together these days too.
Right.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I think every generation has grows into that same thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's changed and it's not what it used to be, and whether that's on a this much level or a this much level, and I think we all just got to learn to figure out how to get over that. Because it's never, whatever it is, whatever you're talking about today that isn't like it used to be. Well, I don't know. There's a few things where I won't go down that road either. But generally speaking, it's not going to ever be like it used to be, and I am conditioned to be fine with that.
We're going to go deeper into that here in a minute, finish. I want to hear your last thoughts on the question.
So we'll do that here shortly because there's only one more note I made. Oh, and it's not interesting enough. That covers most of it. But the final one was write-ins. Write in what you want, which I always think is pretty much a worthless part of a survey. But I just put Grateful Dead family and or tribute bands, covers, something like that, because the Grateful Dead is still one of the hottest properties in America right now in any capacity, whether it's people who barely were old enough to know who, any Bob Weir even is, long after Jerry Garcia died, or people who've been doing this for 40 or 50 years. If you're playing Grateful Dead style music, people want to hear it. And so I would love them to have, even if it's the Bertha the drag show, the bluegrass drag stuff. So that was my one write-in, was just Grateful Dead, anything. Grateful Dead family, Grateful Dead covers, tributes, those kinds of things.
What were your thoughts on the list? I thought the list was interesting, and I'm trying to pull it up. I thought the fact that they gave such specifics.
Oh, the long actual pick bands list?
Yeah, and I kind of felt like I'm reading it and I'm thinking, okay, these are legit, I mean, are these the ones they're going after? How much do I want to read into
I'm fine with that question because it gives people, first of all, it's multiple choices. So any of these that have many, many, many choices, I think those are better polling questions. But I don't think it means a whole lot. I clicked widespread panic, and that's it. Because I'm a big Panic fan, and I didn't click on anything else. And Panic was the backbone of this if we're going to talk about the way it used to be, was the backbone of this festival for about 5 solid years,
Yep,
and then
for
came
sure.
back 2 or 3 years after that. I'd be willing to bet Panic's played there more than anybody, and they haven't been there in forever. And I've thought them on a Thursday night on the what, which we don't know if we're going to get Thursdays anymore like that, would have been the most perfect way to start an EDM filled, pop filled weekend, a bro country weekend with the legacy, the real Bonnaroo legacy act, if you want to use it within the ethos of the festival, Widespread Panic. So I clicked or filled in the dot Widespread Panic, and that was all. I put no other options on that.
One more question for you, and then we're going to take a break, and I want to come back and I want to revisit the Beatles versus Oasis thing.
And we'll get to Ozzy too for a minute.
Oh,
Passing of Ozzy.
yeah. And Chuck Mangione. I was never a big. I didn't like new jazz. Were you a big Chuck Mangione and
I
that
need to be
whole?
reminded who that is. I'm sorry.
I can't think of his hit. You'd know it if you heard it. He
Uh,
was massive in the '80s. That
well,
new jazz, whatever it was.
during the break, I'll catch
We'll
myself.
look it up. But the for, and this is a weird question. Let me see if I can ask it correctly. The rain sending us home last month, in some ways, seems to have scared people into thinking that Bonnaroo was near its end. Am I overstating that?
I thought it was.
Because of the rain or prior? I mean, were you thinking that Friday morning? Because
No.
I wasn't, because the crowd was great. Everything was, I thought it was getting ready to be one of the best weekends of my
Yeah.
life in recent years.
Yeah, no, I have
You
a
know what I'm saying?
I have
Like,
I have a story that I go back and look at, like a story on my Instagram of that morning when we were on the back of a golf cart, and I had a good shot of the back of the witch stage, and then threw some MJ Lenderman on the as a background song, and then I knew I was going to see him in a few hours, and I look back at that, and then I look at the next story, and it's 10 hours later in a mud pit getting in my car going home. So, no, I started that Friday like, here we go.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's my point, I guess, is like some of us, especially veterans or new people, are looking back like this was horrible. This is the end. When Friday morning, this was going to be the best weekend ever.
Yeah.
So, you
My
know what I'm,
quick thought before we break is that it's simple for me. Nothing lasts forever.
right.
And when just use the basic the basic facts of the last 5 6 years, and then start to think about and not being qualified to talk about insurance companies and policies and payments and A&R guys and executives saying, why are we dumping all this money into this stupid farm in Tennessee, some guy out in LA or whatever. And I start putting all those that like anxiety ridden kind of thoughts in my head, and I'm thinking maybe this is it. I mean, just because nothing lasts forever, and in capitalistic America, if you're not making money, then you close shop.
Yeah.
That's why I went there. That's all. The only reason.
No, I guess what I'm saying is like I've seen some things like I told you the lineup wasn't very good and blah blah. And I'm like, what? No, you're making stuff up.
That's too much of a comment section.
Yeah, you're
To me,
imparting
what it
stuff
sounds.
that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and let's come back. And I want to revisit the Beatles versus Oasis thing and talk about that. All right, we're back. A couple weeks ago, I guess, Brian, you asked me a question that is a great question. It comes up a lot. The Oasis thing, the Oasis phenomenon. You were just telling me off air before we got on that Oasis just played over in Europe yesterday or this weekend was.
Yeah, they had a long run. They did. They started in Cardiff, and then they went to Manchester for a 5 night run, which is kind of their home base, and then London proper is where they're at now. So that's the bigger shows of the first three. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but yeah, they're at Wembley, and they just wrapped that up probably in the last day or two, and the the visuals of this. I mean, the European kind of bounce and shake the place and rock us almost like a soccer crowd is pretty fascinating to see. But yeah, they are. I mean, they are losing it over there.
So I had a couple of friends ask me a similar question to sort of look back nostalgic at what sort of music influenced my life growing up. Again, I'm in my early 60s, you're in your mid 40s. And we made the point when you asked me sort of to compare the Oasis and the Beatles. The Beatles, I think most people would agree, is sort of the measure. They're the baseline. You know, is this band better or good or the new or whatever?
Of modern American music,
Right.
they're they're the beginning of the conversation starts there, and maybe Elvis and them, and then it goes from there.
Fair enough. And so it made me think a lot of things because you and I are rock and roll guys. And it reminded me, and, and I'm going to promise you probably never given this a thought, but Alabama, when they came around,
The country band Alabama.
country band Alabama was massive, and everyone was comparing them to the Beatles. And then
Really?
Garth. Oh, yeah. And then
And
Garth
Garth?
Brooks. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And now Taylor Swift. And so, I mean, my point, I guess what I was thinking is it depends on where you are, right?
Oh yeah.
You just made the face that I did too when I thought about it this morning. I was like, yeah, Alabama. People actually think Alabama, you know, was amazing, and they sold I had it written down. I think they had 21 consecutive number one singles on the country charts.
Well, country music was not. I mean that was probably they might have been a big part of the shifting to where country music is now. I'll give them that.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
That's where I'm going with this. Is like you've got record sales is one thing, number one singles is another thing. Moving the needle is, I guess, to me, where the argument takes shape.
And they might have moved the needle more than I realized. Like it wasn't David Allan Coe who was doing music back then too, but
so they were the Merles and the George Jones and those guys were they weren't selling records. And so I remember headlines, is country music dead? And then all of a sudden here comes Alabama in like 1979, early 70s, I guess. Saved it. And then again, they kind of retired in 79-ish. And the headlines again were country music's dead. And then here comes Garth. And, Friend in Low Places literally pulled country music out of the doldrums.
If somebody wanted to say, and we're talking about like the most important artists of generations, I mean, Garth Brooks is right there.
Yep.
Right there. But Alabama might have been the precursor to that.
Oh, there's no question.
And I never would have thought about that in 100 million years.
That was my point. I know you wouldn't. And so when people make fun of Taylor Swift, I'm kind of in that same boat.
It's the new era version.
I couldn't name a single Taylor Swift song right now, but she literally, I mean, she's her own economic universe. She's so massive. And I have nothing but good things to say about her. It's not my music.
I love Taylor Swift.
I think she's awesome.
Couldn't tell you a song either, but except for, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me, which is it's like my theme song.
So, I mean, we kind of made the point when we were talking about it depends on whether you're 13 or 16 at the time, whether they're the most important. But I can't tell you that Alabama moved the needle and changed music. I mean, it saved a genre, it saved radio stations. But did anybody start changing how they performed? I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, they kind of lead to the bro country type of thing.
No,
Same
it totally leans into that, or leads into that.
Right. Beatles changed the world. Oasis.
In their own country, in that side in Europe, there was some of that, but not nearly. But no, it's preposterous to say they're even on I believe a comparison discussion with the Beatles. I think maybe I didn't even get my point across as well a few weeks ago. Was that maybe I was, as you being a big Beatles guy your whole life, did Oasis just irritate you beyond belief because of their weird attitudes and their asshole-ish attitudes?
Oh, I thought it was funny. I thought the same with the Clash and the Sex Pistols. I mean, it's punk. I think it's great.
I thought it was hysterical. But
yeah,
a lot of people were like, how dare you
I
even
loved it.
bring the Beatles into this conversation? But if you get them in more a measured interview, the Beatles mean everything in the world to them.
Yeah.
Like this was never a we're disrespecting the Beatles. I mean, they'll go on and talk about their favorite Beatles or songs. That's their favorite band of all time, and there's a bit of an homage played in their music to
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
But
look, the Clash Beatlemania is bitten the dust. I mean, even when I heard that, I was like, that's funny. It's clever. You don't mean it. you
yeah,
know, but maybe it has. But I would say so of the artists that have moved the needle, if we're saying it that way, and I don't dislike them, but they didn't do it for me because again, I was having kids. Nirvana certainly did.
oh, as
That,
far as I mean, there's very few in my generation that can claim this kind of thing,
yeah,
and and Nirvana's the one. Like
yeah,
that was a moment of changing of styles, and it changed everybody's approach to music. I mean, it completely single-handedly destroyed the glam rock era of the 80s that lasted a good amount of time. That wasn't like a 2-year
yeah,
thing. That was going on most of the decade, and you'll talk. There's great docs for the '80s guys, Skid Row, and some of those bands. That's the only one that pops in my head now. But we'll be like that goddamn Nirvana.
yeah,
We're supposed to go on tour on an album we released last year or like 6 months ago, and we're about to hit the road, and all of a sudden Nirvana, no one's showing up.
yeah,
No one wants to hear our music. And 6 months ago, we were the biggest act in the world.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how quickly they destroyed, or not destroyed, just reinvented what popular rock and roll music was going to be. It's the closest thing that can be like Beatles-esque in my lifetime.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, I was into punk. The Ramones, the Sex Pistols, the Clash, but they weren't. I mean, in a smaller way, smaller subgenre, they were doing the same thing, but Nirvana was the upper level.
Everybody that you just mentioned, and so many more, almost all those Seattle bands specifically, but many others across the country, from Chicago and where Smashing Pumpkins are from, and Stone Temple Pilots, or wherever they're from, they all cite almost the same influences. All that punk. They were all punk kids.
Yeah.
And I've never been much into punk. It wasn't quite my era. And they took punk and turned it into feedback-driven, 3-chord progression, loud garage rock that just took off. And it comes from the origins come from punk music.
Yeah. And funnily, that was exactly what the Beatles did. That's what's so weird. As big as the Beatles are, they were a punk band basically in the late 50s and early 60s. Obviously became different, in the late 60s with all the studio stuff, but they were just a rock and roll band that would fight you in a minute. Back in the day.
Their story, their hit. I don't even know it as well as I should. I'm sad to say, but it is wild. They did so much in such a small time. Not even a decade, right?
And they were like 27, 28 years old when they broke up.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So I was about to say that I didn't know where you're going with that. But I knew it wasn't that old. I would have guessed more like 30. But yeah, John Lennon was 40 in 1980.
Yeah, no,
I know
they
that.
were 27 when they did, I think, the White Album. I mean, Ringo's the oldest, but
yeah, breaking up when you're 27, 28. What in the hell?
Having changed the universe.
and I was just having this conversation with somebody just the other day that with the Beatles, the thing with me when I would just show my lack of fandom was more of, I get kind of hung up on the boy band era of theirs, the kind of Love Me Do eras, the 8 days a week era, and I just like that is some of the dumbest music I've ever heard.
Oh, I get it. No, I completely get it. But I've always tried to make the difference. You don't have to like the music because I get it. I mean, why would you at 40? You're listening to Pearl Jam. I mean, why would Love Me Do strike a note with you? I get it, you know. But when people say like they were overrated and they're terrible and all that, I'm like, no, come on now, use your brain.
Now, when they made the transition, more into the late 60s, Magical Mystery and those kinds of things, that's more my speed.
Yeah.
certainly more my speed. And then, John Lennon's, Imagine and Jealous Guy and some of those. I mean, those are my favorite Beatles songs. And they're not Beatles
Yeah.
songs.
Right. Right. I get
So,
it. Anyway,
yeah.
I just thought it was interesting when I started thinking about like Alabama. Again, not my wheelhouse. Garth Brooks, not my wheelhouse. But they were massive. So is it record sales type of thing? I mean, look, if we're gonna do that, let's throw Kiss in there. I
Yeah.
mean, Kiss sells, has how many tons? They're awful,
Yeah. I
but I
hate
love
Kiss.
them.
But they had their era of what they did differently.
Right.
And for a few minutes, that did spin
Correct.
into the glam rock era. All
Correct.
those guys were Kiss guys,
Right.
but it didn't. I wouldn't put that on the same trajectory of changing rock and roll forever. But maybe I'm discounting that too much. Maybe I am, because
Yeah.
it's certainly a shift, and you can point to who created the shift. And that might be kind of what we're talking about. Because after a while, I mean, the Beatles, that's so primitive of music time, rock and roll music. I mean, that it's in its creation.
Right.
We're now talking about stuff 40 years later where rock and roll's gone through 5 different shifts, and there's only so many times you can reinvent a bar chord
Yeah.
with distortion on it. And after a while, now that's why rock and roll's fallen off. You can only make rock and roll so many ways.
Which goes back to, or brings me back to the question on the survey: do you want legacy or new? And that's kind of part of all why I was thinking about all this. Which band right now? I mean, who are the acts right now that are moving those needles? You know,
Legacy wise, you mean?
or
Or
just whatever that are
Yeah.
new that are gonna be
Oh,
legacy in
sorry,
5 or 10
yeah.
years, maybe.
Sorry, I miss what you
No,
were
I didn't
going
ask the
at.
question very well, but that's what I'm trying to think is
Well,
like,
the answer is I don't know.
I know nobody does.
Yeah.
And it's such a short shelf life.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing when looking back at these. I mean, most Bonnaroovians do this. Look back at old lineups, and it's just a fun exercise. And it's wild how many bands have that blip, never see them again.
That's
I was
why
like,
it's so funny to me when I hear people say the lineup sucks. It's not what it used to be. I'm like,
yeah.
what are you talking about?
Look
And
back in
again,
5 years.
that's the advantage of age.
Like I looked at 2017 the other day because it's one of my favorite years for a lot of reasons that don't have anything to do with the lineup, but plenty of it did have to do with the lineup, and a band called Car Seat Headrest. Any of you guys remember that band? I was so obsessed with them that summer, and I went to that show and I rocked out. It looked kind of like a European crowd, and under that tent, they have a big following at the moment. It was this big bouncy crowd, and haven't heard of them in 5 years.
I know. That's what's so funny. Arcade Fire was massive. Massive. And we were kind of interested that they were coming back this year.
A little bit.
That's my point. Again, it's what happens when you get old. All right, man. What else?
Well, on the way out, I guess, speaking of some of the greats from Europe, we should talk about Ozzy for a few minutes.
All right. What a loss.
Where were you as a Black Sabbath fan growing up?
Again, when I was in high school, when they were AC/DC, all of that, I hated them because all the stoners in school loved them. And so I was into the Ramones, and I was the anti guy, whatever.
Was that a little bit of a that era's goth movement, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
with Black Sabbath?
Yeah. Black
Yeah.
T-shirts. Oh yeah.
The devil worship.
Devil worshiping, and I mean, I liked it. I didn't hate that one as much as I like Fogelberg. That was Jimmy Buffett and Fogelberg were the devil as far as I was concerned back then.
I got a soft spot for Fogelberg, but anyway.
Yeah, Ozzy, I liked, but now I just love it. It's just fun. But what interesting to me was watching all the news reports. He gets a lot of credit, and there wasn't a lot of mention of his wife. She was the genius behind Ozzy.
In the 21st century, she certainly was.
All of it, pretty much. Yeah,
maybe all of it. Yeah.
I mean, the band was amazing. They were great. But again, he got that Prince of Darkness. They were not the devil. I mean, that's what's so funny. Everybody wants to label them as like this
They
black.
sang some of the most practical music I ever heard most of the time.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
have you ever read the lyrics to War Pigs? I
Thank
mean,
you.
you could write that today.
Exactly. Exactly. So
And
no,
nobody
I
would
love
say
it.
this is devilish. They'd be like, "No, what a poet."
Plus, I don't know if you've ever actually been in a room with my brother Bob, but
I
they
have
look
not.
identical.
Oh,
My
really?
brother Bob used to get people would stop him in bars all the time. They look
Really?
identical. But yeah, no, that's a huge loss. It's really, really cool that they did that concert 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
They
it
knew.
was.
Somebody knew. Somebody knew that what was
Yeah, I
coming.
saw a version. I had no interest in watching it because I'm not a huge fan. I'll give you my fandom here in just a second, but on where it came and went. But I watched some of the clips, but didn't really have an interest in watching the whole show. Um, but I did see a Mama I'm Coming Home, and it was after he passed, and so it had extra emotion to it. And boy, he was struggling, but he was still doing pretty good for a
Yeah.
guy with Parkinson's and his age, and he was doing pretty good. He couldn't hit the fire in her eye. They couldn't quite hit that, but everybody's crying, and that's such a sweet song. And I was kind of like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is horrible. But speaking to that song and that album, of course, because everything starts for me in the early 90s, because I'm 11, 12 years old, that No More Tears
Yeah.
album. Still to this day, one of my favorites from the 90s. Front to back, I'll listen to it any time. And that was my discovery of Ozzy, and then went back into the. I never liked the '80s stuff because I never liked any of the '80s, almost any '80s music, and I liked some of the Black Sabbath, but not as much. And the thing with Ozzy, there's two things that bothered me with him, and I kind of stopped paying attention to him for 25, 30 years. I wish I didn't, but I did. And two of them are: first is I get really irritated with these constant retirement tours.
Oh,
Anybody
right.
who does this stuff, I'm like,
Right.
even the Dead right now, the Dead are doing this, and it's annoying me, and I love the Dead. But the No More Tears tour was called No More Tours in 1992. I'm 12. He's retiring when I'm 12.
Yeah.
Then there's the Retirement Sucks tour in 1997. Then there's Ozfest, which I wish I made it to, never did. But I'd give you that because that's not an Ozzy tour officially, so I'd give you that. And then there's a No More Tours 2 in 2018. Like, how do you get this so wrong that 16 years ago you're still doing? So that annoyed me. And then the thing that annoyed me the most, that absolutely ridiculous MTV show. That
Yeah.
show sucked so bad, and it was played up to. It was the beginning of, or the middle of, when Real World starts this reality TV garbage and Road Rules in the 90s and
Yep.
MTV, and everybody's losing and loving this stuff. And then we've moved on to families now. We moved on to bigger, different, quote, reality scenarios and show concepts. And the Osbournes, clearly a massive hit that I believe Sharon is the main reason why.
Mm-hmm.
But Ozzy wasn't that belligerent. But Ozzy was not that out of it. Ozzy was together for he was playing that dumb character. And I was like, you're better than this, Ozzy. I can't watch this crap. There was a clip, I saw it again the other day, but I remember it from 20 years ago. I used to be more of a Cubs fan of the family from Chicago. He sings "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and it's
Yeah.
it's like, Ozzy, you got one of the best voices of a generation of 5 generations. Sing the song. No, he's playing up to the MT. And I guarantee it. Sharon said, "Hey,
That was
Ozzy,
Sharon.
Ozzy, sing like an idiot."
Yeah.
And he did it. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with Ozzy Osbourne. And that's why I never paid attention to the guy, and probably why I never went to Ozfest.
I put her in the same category as Gene Simmons. I mean, with Kiss. I mean, it was all about the money.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, she killed it. And quickly before I forget, the first night at Wembley, Oasis 4-night run, or however many night run it is, that was this past weekend. They have, and they probably did it every night, I don't know, but when they played Live Forever, this beautiful, and their stage setup is just phenomenal. and they had this big picture of Ozzy when he was very young, probably like 22, 23. Looked, I mean, just such a good looking guy. And they had that up with some great graphics of their song "Live Forever," and so I thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, I mean, I like Ozzy, but for those couple of reasons.
Yeah, no, I was looking up while you were talking about the retirement tours. It's basically the Sex Pistols. Their last one was the Filthy Lucre, which is just the money. That's why we're doing it. That's what it's.
Yeah,
We got bills to pay.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
gonna
not
do it
mad.
again in 5 years.
I'm not. I mean, the Who.
I know they all do it.
The Who is about to have another one, which is just Roger and
Yeah, because they
Pete.
fired Zach.
Yeah, Roger and Pete.
Keep firing Zach.
Yeah, Roger and Pete. And so it's like, really? Your first one, I mean, maybe Barry help me on this. I think they might have said we're not touring anymore in like 79 or 81.
Yeah. Hope I die before I get old.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just stop it already. But I get it. And I love the Who, so I'm not hating.
Yeah, I don't think they expect to live this long. That's part of it. And then the bills come.
You know what? That I think I'll learn to appreciate the more my life goes along.
Yeah. Let's revisit this. We'll be doing the retirement tour of the What podcast again in 30 years.
But quickly, because I wrote this down, and where I'm giving a little bit more leeway to a band I like is the Grateful Dead and the 21st century version of the Dead. 2015, they do Fare Thee Well, make a big to-do about it, play these massive shows, sell all the pay-per-views. We all get together, have a big time, watch all the shows. 8 months later, Dead and Company's a band with John Mayer. I'm like, why is John Mayer John Mayer shouldn't be in this band. Of course, 10 years later, I love John Mayer. And then 2023, they have the final tour. We're not touring anymore. I went to the show, thought, okay, I'm done with the Dead. That's okay. I've got all I ever needed out of the 21st century Dead. A year later, the Sphere run for a year and a half. I know that's not a tour. It's a technicality. Of course, I went to that too. And then now they're doing the Golden Gate Park in 2 weeks as I don't know if they're calling it final. So so many legacy acts do this. I just can't help but be a little annoyed by it.
Have you, and this is way out of left field, but not really. Have you given any thought to who needs to be on the lineup next year for Bonnaroo? Do you care?
I have not.
I
have not. I don't usually do that a whole lot because that's just, man, I'm so far out of that kind of even guessing game. Once upon a time, not all that long ago, when I was still doing music radio, I would go through and look at anybody who might be able to play and then see where their tour schedule goes and, kind of crisscross that. I don't have any real reason to do that for a job like that anymore. So I really don't. And I've also gotten to be, we were all from all those years, give it to me early. I got to get it now. I got to get it now. And now I've kind of grown into the love. I just want to be there when it gets dropped like everybody else.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised. I don't want to know anything.
I'm kind of, not just me personally, or you personally, I'm just like, and maybe we need to think about this and talk about it in another show, is what we think the lineup needs to look like to be successful.
And maybe where some of the percentages of the genres and that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
I know our boy Daniel wants Tame Impala.
Got to have Tame, and apparently we got to have all EDM. So
he's going to have a stroke if we don't get Tame Impala in this band. And I like Tame Impala, so I'd be fine with that.
That's kind of my point is, what are the acts now that are the zeitgeist or whatever, or what will they be next year? I haven't given it any thought.
I haven't either. My first thought is they might do a little bit of a 2021, from 2020 to 2021, where they tried their best to recreate that 2020 lineup. I mean, they didn't try to get it exactly, but they attempted to make it similar. I have a feeling there's a chance they might try to piece together, but I don't even know about that. I'm making that up as we talk right now.
It's not a good question.
It's
a sitting around drinking a beer type of question. It's not necessarily one you and I need to be doing right now.
Pass that over here to me. Let's talk about this.
Right. Yeah. All right, man. Anything else?
Well, that gets through the list here, and we got some phone calls in the can over here, as we call it, that we'll run here soon enough, and plenty of things coming up as we continue to navigate this scorching hot southern summer. But
Yeah,
no,
take care of
I
yourself.
got about everything we need for today, I think.
I think so too. Again, typically we thought this might be a quick 20-minute, 30-minute show, and we're a little over an hour. So,
Actually, let me do this real quick because this has been sitting on my desk for a month as
okay.
I drink this coffee. It's not this coffee, but as we did show and tell
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
shortly after, I totally forgot this, and I feel even worse because I don't remember your name. Might have been a Brent or a Brad or a B word. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't remember. We were talking Pearl Jam and everything else, and I couldn't go to the coffee exchange. And he brought me this from Alabama.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Coffee that is called coffee. So I've already long drank it, and that was just one of the cooler things ever because I really, really wanted to go to this, but it was at Thursday at noon, and we had work to do around 2, and it was not going to make sense for me. And unsolicited and just out of the kindness of his heart, dude, bro, thank you. This was great stuff. I am a coffee guy these days, and I love it. So thank you.
Nice. I'm glad you got that in.
Yeah, it took me a month. It took me 5 weeks to remember. It's been sitting on this desk the whole time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, Barry. See you, and see you guys later.